Have you ever wondered why something as innocent as a cupcake can reveal hidden truths about attraction, fear, and even betrayal? It may sound strange at first, but the way we respond to small pleasures in life says a lot about our minds, emotions, and even the choices we make in relationships. A simple craving might seem harmless, just a fleeting desire for something sweet, but beneath the surface it reveals a much deeper story. Why do some people give in instantly, unable to resist, while others hold back, struggling between indulgence and self-control? Why does something so small trigger guilt in some and pure satisfaction in others? These little moments are not just about food. They are windows into the way we handle temptation, pleasure, and discipline in every aspect of life. Human psychology is full of hidden patterns. What we desire and what we fear are often two sides of the same coin, shaping the way we act without us even realizing it. When someone reaches for a cupcake, it's not always about hunger. It's about comfort, nostalgia, or even a silent rebellion against restriction. The same happens in human attraction. We are drawn to what brings us pleasure, yet at the same time we fear losing control. This internal battle isn't just about food or relationships. It's the foundation of human nature itself. Stoicism, the philosophy of mastering emotions and resisting unnecessary desires, teaches that true power comes not from giving in, but from understanding why we are tempted in the first place. When we observe our desires with a clear mind, we begin to see them for what they really are. Momentary impulses, not commands we must obey, but what happens when desire leads to excess. What starts as a small indulgence can turn into dependence, whether it's an emotional attachment, a craving for attention, or the need for constant validation. This is where the real test begins. Can we control our impulses, or do they control? The answers to these questions go beyond simple cravings and touch the core of our decision-making, our self-awareness, and even the way we connect with others. As we explore these ideas, we will uncover fascinating insights about the way our minds work, how attraction is formed, and the surprising truths about the fears and betrayals hidden in everyday life. But if something as small as a cupcake can reveal so much about our inner world, what does that say about attraction itself? The way we experience pleasure, whether it's from food, touch, or even a scent in the air, is deeply connected to how we form attachments and connections with others. Attraction is not just about appearance. It's about emotions, memories, and the way our senses react to the world around us. Just like the way a familiar taste can bring comfort, a person's presence can evoke feelings of warmth, safety, or excitement. The mind links certain sensations with pleasure, and over time, these connections shape the way we see relationships, love, and even desire. This is why food and attraction are so closely related. The sweetness of chocolate, the softness of freshly baked bread, or the warmth of a favorite meal can all trigger deep emotional responses. For many women, comfort foods are more than just something to eat. They are tied to memories, emotions, and even a sense of security. The same way a familiar scent can remind someone of childhood, certain foods bring a feeling of emotional closeness, almost like an embrace from the past. This connection between sensory pleasure and emotional attachment is also what drives romantic attraction. A gentle touch, a soft whisper, or even the way someone smells can create a lasting impression, triggering the same feelings of warmth and desire that a comfort food might bring. Attraction, at its core, is not just about what we see, it's about what we feel, both physically and emotionally. But this raises an important question. If attraction is so deeply tied to pleasure, how much control do we really have over it? The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from understanding desires rather than being ruled by them. It is easy to be swept away by emotions, to chase after pleasure without stopping to question why we want it in the first place. Many people fall into patterns of attraction without ever realizing they are being guided by their own past experiences, subconscious fears, or emotional cravings. A person who constantly seeks validation in relationships may not truly be in love with someone. They may simply be addicted to the feeling of being wanted. The same way someone reaches for a cupcake in a moment of stress, people often seek out relationships to fill emotional voids without realizing it. Stoicism teaches that the key to a strong and balanced mind is learning to observe desires without immediately acting on them. It is not about rejecting pleasure, but about understanding it. When we recognize the deeper reasons behind our attractions, we gain the ability to make better choices, not just in relationships, but in every area of life. Instead of being pulled by fleeting emotions, we become grounded, aware, and in control. Attraction may feel like an unstoppable force, but in reality, it is just another part of human nature that, when understood, can be mastered. But if attraction is so deeply connected to pleasure, then why do certain experiences bring hesitation, discomfort, or even fear? Just as the mind links sweet flavors to comfort, it also ties certain scents, foods, and even simple moments to emotions from the past. A familiar perfume can remind someone of a lost love, just as a childhood dish can bring back feelings of warmth and safety. But the same process that allows positive memories to resurface also brings up fears and anxieties. A specific place, a certain song, or even the way someone speaks can trigger an emotional reaction without us fully understanding why. These reactions are not random. They are shaped by past experiences, sometimes ones we don't even remember. Clearly, the mind stores emotional imprints, and without realizing it, people are often reliving old emotions in new situations. This is why some desires feel exciting while others create hesitation. Many fears that people carry, especially women, are rooted in past experiences, expectations, and even societal pressures. The fear of being judged, the fear of appearing too emotional, the fear of vulnerability. These all shape the way people behave, even in the smallest moments. A woman might hesitate before enjoying something as simple as a dessert, not because she doesn't want it, but because she has been taught to be conscious of appearances, of what others might think. The same fear can exist in relationships. The hesitation to express emotions, to show true desires, or to fully open up to someone else often comes from the deep-rooted worry of being misunderstood, or, worse, rejected. Many people are not only afraid of their desires, but of what those desires might reveal about them. Stoicism teaches that true peace comes from understanding emotions without being ruled by them. It does not mean ignoring feelings, but rather seeing them clearly for what they are, temporary, passing, and often influenced by past experiences rather than present reality. Fear loses its power when it is acknowledged rather than avoided. A person who understands why they hesitate, why they crave, or why they feel a certain way gains the ability to respond with reason rather than impulse. Emotional resilience is not about suppressing emotions, but about detaching from their control. The past may shape the way people react, but it does not have to define their future. The more someone understands their own emotional triggers, the more they gain the ability to live freely, without being trapped by unconscious fears or fleeting desires. If fears shape the way people react to desire, then what happens when those fears are ignored? Just like craving a cupcake is rarely about hunger alone, craving attention, validation, or even affection often has little to do with the surface-level desire. It's easy to assume that indulgence is just about pleasure, but more often than not, it reveals something deeper. An unmet emotional need, a search for comfort, or a way to escape an uncomfortable truth. The same way a person reaches for something sweet when they feel stressed, they may seek validation when they feel unseen, affection when they feel insecure, or excitement when they feel trapped in routine. These small actions, grabbing a dessert, without thinking, sending a risky message in a moment of weakness, or making impulsive choices in relationships, are all connected. They stem from the same root, the urge to fill a void, even if only for a moment. This is where trust and betrayal come into play. Just as a craving can sneak up without warning, so can the feeling of emotional dissatisfaction. When people don't fully understand their own needs, they are more likely to act on impulse rather than reason. Someone who constantly seeks reassurance, from a partner might not actually be afraid of being alone. They might be afraid of feeling unworthy. A person who gives in to indulgence, whether it's food, attention, or something more serious, might not be weak-willed. They might simply be reacting to a deeper emotional emptiness they haven't yet recognized. The betrayal in relationships, whether it is small acts of dishonesty or something more serious, often starts the same way as giving in to a simple craving, a moment of weakness, a desire for something that feels good, an escape from an uncomfortable truth. But where does this leave those who have been betrayed? The Stoics believed that pain comes not from what happens to us, but from the meaning we attach to it. Betrayal, in any form, is painful because it challenges the trust we placed in someone. But when we see things as they truly are, without unnecessary emotional weight, we realize that most betrayals are not about us. They are about the weaknesses and unresolved struggles of the other person. A cupcake does not betray a person when they eat it. It simply exists, and their craving led them to it. In the same way, people's actions are reflections of their own internal struggles, not a direct attack on others. When we stop taking things personally and begin to see human nature for what it is, flawed, impulsive, and driven by unseen forces, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Understanding this does not mean excusing betrayal, but it does mean no longer letting it control our emotions. In the end, true strength comes not from avoiding pain, but from recognizing it for what it truly is. Just another moment, another lesson, another experience that does not define us. If betrayals, cravings, and impulsive actions all stem from the same root, then the real challenge is not avoiding temptation, but learning to control it. Every person faces an internal battle between instant gratification and long-term well-being. The mind knows what is right, yet the body craves what is easy, comforting, or immediately pleasurable. A moment of indulgence, whether it's in food, attention, or risky decisions, offers temporary relief, but often at the cost of long-term peace. This is why so many people feel regret after giving in to impulses. They satisfy a craving for a brief moment, only to realize it has left them emptier than before. The real challenge is not in resisting every desire, but in understanding which ones truly serve us and which ones lead to unnecessary suffering. Science shows that much of this battle is biological. The human brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. Dopamine, the chemical responsible for pleasure and motivation, drives people toward behaviors that feel rewarding. This is why cravings can feel so powerful. Whether it's for sugar, social approval, or emotional reassurance, the brain treats them all the same way. It seeks the easiest path to feeling good. This is also why impulsive actions, from emotional outbursts to poor relationship choices, often happen in moments of stress. When the body is overwhelmed, it looks for relief, even if that relief is temporary and harmful in the long run. The more someone gives in to these quick-fix pleasures, the stronger the habit becomes, making it harder to break free. This is where Stoicism offers a powerful solution. The Stoics understood that pleasure itself is not the problem. It is the attachment to pleasure that leads to suffering. They believed that true freedom comes from learning to enjoy life's pleasures in moderation, without being enslaved by them. When people learn to master their impulses, they gain control over their emotions, decisions, and ultimately, their lives. One of the most effective ways to build self-control is through small, intentional acts of discipline. This could mean delaying gratification, choosing to wait before indulging in a craving, just to prove that it does not control you. It could mean practicing voluntary discomfort, choosing to go without something unnecessary for a period of time. To build mental resilience, the Stoics would also reflect deeply on their desires, questioning whether what they wanted would truly bring lasting happiness or just temporary pleasure. Self-discipline is not about rejecting joy. It is about choosing joy that lasts. The person who controls their desires does not need to fear them. They can enjoy a cupcake without guilt, attention without dependence, love without desperation. They are no longer slaves to impulse, but masters of their own mind. True strength comes not from denying pleasure, but from knowing when to embrace it and when to let it pass. The more someone practices this discipline, the more they build an unshakable foundation, one that is not easily tempted, easily betrayed, or easily controlled by anything outside themselves. If true strength comes from mastering desires rather than being controlled by them, then why do so many people, especially women, feel the need to suppress what they truly want? Society has always played a role in shaping how people express themselves, setting silent rules about what is acceptable and what should remain hidden. From a young age, women are often taught to be polite, reserved, and careful about how they express their needs, whether in relationships, careers, or even something as simple as personal pleasures. The fear of judgment, of appearing too demanding or too emotional, leads many to keep their true desires locked away, even from themselves. What they openly admit wanting is often different from what they truly crave. And over time, this quiet denial creates a gap between what is expected and what is real. This is where the contrast between romantic ideals and biological instincts becomes clear. People are often encouraged to believe in the idea of perfect love, one that is pure, patient, and free from selfish desires. Yet, beneath this polished image, human nature remains unchanged. Just as attraction is driven by deep biological forces, so are the emotions and desires that come with it. Women, like men, experience raw instincts, urges for adventure, passion, and spontaneity. Yet while men are often encouraged to embrace these drives, women are more likely to be told to restrain them, to be careful, to avoid appearing too forward. The result? Many end up living in quiet conflict, torn between what they have been taught to want and what they actually feel. This fine line between self-restraint and societal expectation can make it difficult to tell the difference between personal values and learned behaviors. Is someone truly reserved, or have they simply been conditioned to be? Do they genuinely want stability, or have they just been taught to avoid risk? The more people suppress their true thoughts, the more disconnected they become from themselves. This is why self-awareness is crucial. Stoicism teaches that clarity comes from understanding emotions without being dominated by them. It is not about rejecting desires, but about seeing them honestly, free from guilt, free from societal pressure, free from fear. When someone fully understands their own nature, they are no longer at war with themselves. They no longer have to pretend, to hide, to follow silent rules that were never truly theirs to begin with. They can act not from insecurity or external expectations, but from a place of inner strength and authenticity. True emotional mastery is not about silence. It is about understanding oneself so deeply that nothing needs to be hidden at all. When people begin to understand their true nature, free from societal expectations and silent rules, they gain something far more valuable than temporary pleasure or external validation. They gain mastery over themselves. This is what the Stoics taught, not the illusion of control, where people try to suppress emotions or deny their desires, but real mastery, where they learn to observe these impulses without being ruled by them. The ancient philosophers knew that indulgence, attraction, and even betrayal are not enemies. They are simply parts of human nature, neither good nor bad on their own. It is only how a person reacts to them that determines whether they bring wisdom or suffering. The key is not to reject these forces, but to understand them, to recognize them as natural, fleeting, and ultimately within one's power to manage. Many people believe they have control over their lives, but in reality they are often controlled by their emotions, cravings, and fears. They chase pleasure, avoid pain, and react impulsively to what feels good in the moment. But true power does not come from seeking to manipulate external circumstances. It comes from mastering one's response to them. A person cannot always control what happens, the desires that arise, the betrayals they experience, the fleeting emotions that pass through them, but they can always control how they interpret and act upon them. The Stoics believed that this was the highest form of freedom, the ability to remain steady no matter what happens. to be neither enslaved by pleasure nor shattered by disappointment. Once someone sees these patterns clearly, they can begin to grow in ways they never imagined. They start to recognize how their impulses drive their actions, how their fears shape their choices, and how their need for validation often leads them into situations that do not serve them. With this awareness, they can begin to make better decisions, not based on momentary desires, but on lasting wisdom. They can build relationships that are not founded on insecurity or unmet needs, but on mutual understanding and strength. They can enjoy life's pleasures without being consumed by them, love without attachment, and experience setbacks without despair. Life does not become easier, but it does become clearer. The final question then is this: what will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue moving through life on autopilot, reacting to desires and emotions without questioning them? Or will you take a step back, examine yourself honestly, and start living with greater awareness and discipline? The challenge of Stoicism is not just to think about these ideas, but to apply them, to test them in real life. It begins with a simple act: self-examination. Question what drives you, what you truly need, and what you have been conditioned to believe. Discuss these ideas, challenge your own thinking, and explore what it means to live with true inner strength. And most importantly, begin practicing. Every time you delay a small indulgence, every time you pause before reacting, every time you choose wisdom over impulse, you are taking a step toward mastery. The journey is yours alone, but the reward is one that no one can take away: freedom, clarity, and the ability to face life as it truly is. In the end, everything comes back to one simple truth: understanding yourself is the key to mastering your life. Attraction, fear, indulgence, and even betrayal are not just random experiences. They are patterns deeply connected to human nature. By seeing them clearly, you gain the power to make choices rather than simply reacting to impulses. Stoicism teaches that true freedom is not about avoiding pleasure or denying emotions, but about developing the strength to experience them without being controlled by them. When you understand why you crave, why you fear, and why you sometimes struggle with self-control, you step out of the cycle of unconscious reactions and into a life of awareness and purpose. Now, the real challenge begins. This is not just about theory, it's about applying these insights to your own life. What hidden desires are shaping your decisions? What fears are holding you back? What moments of weakness have taught you the most? Take a moment to reflect on these questions. Not to judge yourself, but to see yourself more clearly. Every step toward self-awareness is a step toward freedom. The more you understand your own mind, the less power external forces have over you. Life will always present temptations, distractions, and challenges, but with a Stoic mindset, you learn to navigate them with clarity and strength. Now, let's turn this into a conversation. Which truth surprised you the most? Was it the way desires shape behavior, the hidden fears that influence decisions, or the realization that self-mastery is possible with practice? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective might resonate with someone else on the same journey. And if you found this discussion thought-provoking, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. There's much more to explore, and together, we'll continue uncovering the deeper truths that shape our lives. Until next time, stay strong, stay aware, and keep questioning everything.